Ukraine forces just launched one of their largest drone strikes against Moscow. And Russian sources say that every single one of the 45 drones that Ukraine used has been shot down, but we're not sure. Since Ukraine's invasion of Kursk, Russia has seen a much higher barrage of drone strikes, and I believe this one was the first of many. But these drone strikes are affecting the entire eastern front of Russia, namely the bombing of the oil depot in Rostov, which has been burning for about 4 days straight. As of yesterday, that fire has engulfed about 10,000 square meters, has taken over 550 Russian firefighters to handle, and has cost between $300 to $500 million in oil losses. Speaking of high-value losses, Ukraine forces have confirmed that they have taken out a Russian S-300 air defense system. These things cost between $100 to $150 million. These systems are highly versatile. They can be used for a mass assault or, like we just mentioned, air defense. Last week, Ukraine forces demolished a high degree of Russian air defense systems in Kursk, in Belgorod, and Bryansk. Once those air defense systems were compromised, Ukraine forces were able to launch missile and drone attacks into the regions. And it looks like that's what they're getting ready to do in Rostov, or at least escalate the amount of airstrikes. I've mentioned in an earlier post that the economics of warfare are of vital importance to Ukraine and Russia, especially more so for Russia. And the fact that this S-300, which is again over $100 million or more to produce, was most likely struck down by the marine variation of a Neptune missile, which costs between $1 to $1.5 million, means that Ukraine is once again winning this economics game. Russia's head of their central bank, Elvira Nabiullina, has given a dire report on their economy. She raised Russian interest rates from 16% to 18%, and she has said that the economy is actually overheating, and that 72% of the companies surveyed by the Russian government have said that labor shortages are of their primary concern. Russia uses oil to fund this war, and their break-even cost for drilling is about $64, or at least it was before they invaded Ukraine. The break-even cost has now risen to $114 a barrel, yet the price of oil is at $72. It hasn't been this low since the beginning of 2024, meaning Russia would lose over $40 or more per barrel if they tried to open new oil wells, which they need to do in order to keep getting the oil they need. Not looking good for the Russian economy. Now back to the Ukraine forces' foothold in Kursk. The map looks quite imposing, with Ukraine forces controlling now 1,250 square kilometers of Russian territory, and that includes about 93 settlements. While Kiev forces have destroyed every major bridge that connects Russia to the rest of Kursk, it looks like Russians are desperate enough to use pontoon bridges, and Ukraine has been destroying them, meaning that Russia does not have any probability of being able to reinforce the Kursk region. At least they have no easy means of doing it, by land or water. I want to conclude this video showing you how small the amount of Russian land is that Ukraine controls. That's right, it's just this blue-green highlighted area. And it's this small incursion that has allowed Ukraine to launch drone strikes along these 4 Russian oblasts. But they've also gone over 670 kilometers past that space into the Savasleika Russian airfield. This small bit of Russian land that they hold has dramatically increased the radius of Ukraine's potential assaults. They are launching attacks deep into Russian territory while repelling Russian troops that are funneling to try to contain this incursion. Here is the most recent table of Russian losses since they invaded in February of 2022. I am the Geo Hussar, and when do you think the next drone strike on Moscow is going to happen? Thanks for watching.